It's Bridget Dolgoff. Lynn Dolgoff. Bridget Lynn Dolgoff. And it's in the morning, so I thought I'd put up a video. Just having coffee. I don't remember in the other videos, this was a huge, it was a huge weed pile. And then over there, I have the huge leaf pile that I didn't get burned, but I decided to keep for composting. So I'm finally composting, yay! And I had so much stuff that, these are kind of like not really the design of, like the biodynamic compost. I mean, sort of, but it would be like more like half of it. So they're enormous piles in there, and layered, and I just want to, and that's where all the stuff is down there, and the straw creates a membrane around it like a digester. So anyway, I have enough straw to do 2 piles. So they're kind of experimental because I had a lot of stuff to use and to get rid of. And all this stuff is valuable. These weeds that I picked are cha-ching, cha-ching, cash in the bank. And that pile of leaves over there is cash in the bank. And so you can see how I'm like going through the garden bed and thinning out. Now I'm doing the lettuce and stuff like that. Threw in a chunk of biochar in there. I did put some biochar in this one. But yeah, so this is why, main reason I went to Rudolf Steiner College. And I had a client, a friend of mine, donate a wheelbarrow to my cause. So pretty exciting. Really needed one. Otherwise I was doing everything in buckets. Hands. So yeah, so one of the big reasons I went to Rudolf Steiner College was to learn biodynamic farming methods and homeopathic methods. And I don't know, it's been like over 15 years now, I guess. Something like that. And, like every chance I get, I do practicing on just different kinds of stuff. And I study a lot too. What other people are doing. But mostly, it's really hands-on. Now tell me that squash doesn't love me. Is that incredible or what? Yeah, just this is the butternut squash, I believe, but I mean, look at the fractal. Like, look at the fractal patterns. I mean, and the fractalness of the flower. It's organic and biological computer systems. They're just awesome. It's the virtual world. We don't need to create a virtual world. We already have one that, with a little help from you, manifests itself. Look at this in there. Look at it. Oh. Anyway, I wanted to grow a lot of food, but the season's been pretty tough with everything, with the dirt and the this and the that and the other thing. And so then I'm like, okay, the bees came and they've been really loving these squash flowers. Some of the littlest bees I've ever seen. Here's my herb bed. Needs to be weeded a little bit, but yeah. And then my lemon balm back there is, hopefully, I'm going to give it just a little bit more time and see if it'll take off right now. And then, ooh, look at my sweet mint is flowering. Oh, bees love that. So then it became about the bees. And then I got to do a lot of weeding, so shh, shh. Don't think bad thoughts about my weeds. This is going to be like the 4th round. But yeah, look at this lady's gorgeousness. I have to trim her today. I don't want her to go out too far and get spindly and lose her power. And I want to keep the power kind of in a little bit. So yeah, it's all looking gorgeous. So now it's the bees, and if I do get any squash or anything, then I'm going to definitely use it for seed, because this was a really tough environment to keep everything alive. Really, it was brutal, actually. It made me work for it. So those seeds will have worked for it with a lot of information and data, and even the corn. So every 3 times that you plant and harvest a seed, you create a different kind of genetic, and like a little computer trip, like a hard drive, but instead of sticking it into your computer, you stick it into the ground, and then and it becomes more like medicine. So yeah, look at the corns in the morning light. So yeah, we've been getting more cloud cover, and we actually got some rain, but the rain, I mean, it doesn't really saturate all the way through, but still, getting the heat off is pretty good. So I'm going to finish this big weed pile, and it's going to go into that compost pile there, and I think I can get rid of most of the leaf pile too, and then it'll turn it into something magnificent called compost. And yeah, so I'm layering it, so it gets a weed layer, then it gets a kind of a broken down leaf layer, and then it gets a green layer. And then this compost I did put, so this one got a lot of extra stuff. This one got 2 buckets, 2 5-gallon buckets of pecked apples on the ground. It got 2 buckets of kitchen slop. And that's all that it got extra. And then split the biochar stuff. So yeah, so this is the first layer, and then it probably looks like it'll have like 3 or 4 layers total, and then I'll cover it and then let it sink down. And when it sinks down, then all of this, as it's sinking down, it kind of fills up the radius a little bit more, because it's not so high, and all this will kind of compact in a way where it stays warm, and it stays cool, and it's alkaline, and the microbes dig it, because we don't burn anything in biodynamics. It's not really what we're into. So anyway, yeah, I guess I should take you over here to this back section real quick. And because the potatoes over here, I mean, they were just scalded and burned to death. I don't know why, they started off so good, and yeah. Okay, so this little patch is doing pretty good too. And I'm still kind of watering my potatoes. These guys are okay. Not as gorgeous as they used to be, but look at that. And so the tree that got torn out is coming back, which I'm really excited about. And then it just got great stuff. And I'm hoping that the primrose is going to flower, because, those quails need something to eat. Here's my second patch of corn. Not as tall, but like we talked about before, it's different conditions. Look at my Hopi sunflowers. Look at that one. Oh, Look at them all. They're looking so gorgeous. But in between, I've got squash and cucumbers and cantaloupes. And there's a cantaloupe in there flowering, but I don't know if they'll make it all the way to eat them. Like I said, I'll probably need to save them for seed because there'll be a new little strain here I've created. And then here's my Armouth. Thank you to Greg. Greg, my native seed grower friend. Anyway, this bed's not doing too bad. And I finally have some poppies growing. So, little poppy, California poppy, California poppy. This needs to be weeded pretty severely too. And then I'll put some mulchy stuff in there for it. This needs to be super weeded. Ooh, hoo. But anyway, I've realized like these plants, these weeds, have to get a certain level before they actually are pullable. So if they're too small, they don't come out all the way. If they're too big, the root will not come out. So yeah. So anyway, once I get the garden, finished kind of cleaning out for the compost and, open it up a little bit, then I'll be able to start pulling the weeds and putting them into the compost freshly until the compost is done, right? So that's it. That's all I've got for you. And yeah, so I'm hoping like October, maybe we might have some good stuff. I need to find some herb plants, I think, that I really need to kind of add in. I might put some oregano and some other stuff out of my herb garden into the compost just to add some information and a little medicine if the compost needs it. Data. It's data and information. So my compost pile is going to be a hard drive of data and information that I've collected. And we're going to put all that data information into the compost so that when I apply the compost, the hard drive of understanding, I guess, will be, put into a spray and sprayed out. So it like unifies and gives things information that it needed in order to develop, regenerate, restore, thrive. So that's what I've got for you. Hey, there's this story that I talk about all the time. And I think maybe I'll let me go over here and sit down. I'm backing up. Oh, there comes the sun. The grandfather, he's made it to our side of the world. Hi, Pug. There's the cutest girl who's not happy with me. Okay, I'm gonna sit down. Okay, so really great story how when I was before I went to biodynamics school to learn homeopathic remedies making for environment, I was on this farm, and so we would go to all the different biodynamic activities. So I was involved with, biodynamics Northern California, and quarterly we would go to other farms, would be invited, the group, and we would stay there for like a whole weekend, camp out and hang out and eat together, and these farms would host it, and then there would be some kind of educational hands-on process. So we went to this farm to learn how to make the oak bark remedy. And it kind of has a really kind of interesting thing. Steiner saw, 500 years into the future in the Akasha records. He was probably one of the most prevalent, I have a bug on my face, Akasha record readers of all times. And for Christians and other people out there, I mean, you would call something similar the Book of Life. Anyway, he saw that we were going to need certain kind of preparations because things would be like super damaged on the earth or the land or whatever, that he was shown the biodynamic remedies to bring forth. So then he started speaking on the 8 agricultural lectures, because he said that the earth is like apocalyptic, in a lot of locations. So bringing something, from 500 years in the future to here, here and now. Anyway, so the oak bark prep. So the first time I dealt with oak bark was actually taking the skull out of a bucket at Rudolf Steiner College, and then us harvesting the oak bark. And then being able to make no, I want you to sit down. No. Stay. 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 No. Sorry, everybody. Tuffy toenails over here. Hey, stop. Come here. No. She's been feeling better, so she's decided that she's going to be more alert, because, she had a hard time. She got beat up by, we don't know who that was in my yard. And no. Hey, no. Anyway, so, she's seeing something over there and she wants to go get it. She thinks she's 5. So, but she's not 5. Okay. Anyway, I'm going to come back and talk about the oak bark story. So, hold on, wait for number 2.